Good evening, America, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Just the News. No noise. I'm your host, John Solomon, reporting to you back in the nation's capital. I've been on the road a couple of days, but Amanda took great care of you. I'm really grateful for that. A lot of headlines to get to. Let me start with Democrat Congressman Eric Swalwell. He's been referred to the DOJ for investigation over alleged mortgage fraud. That story breaking just a few hours ago. He'll be the third Democrat to be facing those alongside of Adam Schiff and Letitia James. Now, the referral comes from the Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte and includes allegations of both mortgage and tax fraud related to a Washington, D.C. home. This isn't the first high-profile mortgage. You know this. As I said, Letitia James and Adam Schiff have been facing similar concerns. Letitia James has already been indicted. Adam Schiff has been criminally referred. Now, reports indicate the referral centers on allegations that Swalwell received several $1 million worth of loans in refinancing by declaring his primary residence as Washington, D.C. instead of the California home that he also owns, and suggests the department probe whether the congressman committed mortgage fraud, state and local tax fraud, and insurance fraud. I'll have more coming to you on this later in the show. Now, we've got more legal news to get to tonight as well, because the State Department took a big step against Antifa, designating 4 European groups that are affiliated with Antifa as foreign terrorist organizations. It's the first instance in which the U.S. government has designated an Antifa-linked group as a foreign terrorist organization. As you know, last month, President Trump designated Antifa in the United States as a domestic terrorism group, but this now actually takes it to foreign, which actually opens up new tools for our counterterrorism and counterintelligence visions. The 4 Antifa groups in Europe, well, one is in Germany, 2 are in Greece, and 1 are in Italy. All right, let me turn to a story that we broke earlier this week. We told you, I think on Monday night, we broke it on the show, that the FBI had transmitted new documents to Congress on the Clinton Foundation, new examples of alleged corruption that occurred there, and efforts to thwart the investigation of the Clinton Foundation. Some of those documents also involved efforts to investigate the Clinton campaign's funding of the Steele dossier. Well, today we learned in new documents that my good colleague Jerry Dunleavy just put up that the Justice Department under Joe Biden was trying to use Special Prosecutor Jack Smith to scuttle any FBI or DOJ investigation into the Clinton campaign's funding of the Steele dossier. Why is that news? Well, first off, we didn't know that they were criminally interested in investigating Hillary Clinton's campaign for that funding. But 2, we now tied together Jack Smith's investigation to Russia collusion. Now you begin to understand why FBI Director Kash Patel said he thought it was a grand conspiracy, that all these things to get Trump are connected, from Jack Smith and Lois Lerner in 2014 at the IRS, to the Russia collusion, to Ukraine impeachment, to the raid on Mar-a-Lago, to Jack Smith's investigation. And it turns out that Jack Smith has a direct connection to Russia collusion now in these new documents. More over at justthenews.com on that. And with that, I'm going to turn to my amazing co-host, Amanda Head, who did such a great job while I was on the road. Amanda, what headlines are you watching today?
John, first of all, welcome back. And I'm going to dovetail off of your European story and start also across the pond in the United Kingdom, where the BBC and President Trump have been in a bit of a spat in recent days all over what the president and his team say was a deceptively edited video of his speech on January 6th. Now, first, I'm going to go ahead and play for you. I'm going to show you the edit in question. So we're going to play 2 clips back to back. The first one is the BBC's edited version. The second one is the original speech. So you tell me if you think that deceptive edits were made here.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Fight, cheer. 2 very, very different actions. Now, does it change your perception of what the president meant? Well, that is what the president's legal team alleges, and they have threatened to sue the network for $1 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars over it if the BBC does not issue a retraction, apologize, and compensate him for these edits. Now, the BBC did one of those things today. They formally apologized to President Trump for those edits, saying, quote, "We accept that our edit unintentionally created the impression that we were showing a single continuous section of the speech. rather than excerpts from different points in the speech, and that this gave the mistaken impression that President Trump had made a direct call for violence. Now, the BBC also said that they strongly disagree that there is a basis for a defamation claim. So, John, mistaken, unintentional. I happen to know that the president, if those two words were not used in that apology, the president might have laid off, but they just couldn't cop up to the fact that, those edits.
Media, they can't own up to the actual nature of the failure that they did, and it's going to keep going on. On this vein, just a few seconds ago, this was announced about 2 minutes ago. It's up on Just the News. The IRS whistleblowers, Gary Shapley and Joe Ziegler, who I think will be coming on the show in the next couple of days, talk about their new book. They've settled their defamation case with Abby Lowe, Hunter Biden's lawyer. And Abby Lowe had to make a statement saying, after accusing these men that by going to Congress they somehow broke the law, that these two men had a lawful right and lawfully went to Congress to blow the whistle. That's a big piece of crow for someone to have to eat on Hunter Biden's side, but that's over at Just the News. Go check it out. All right, we've got the perfect guest to kick off today's discussion. He's at the center of so many of these things: the weaponization, Hunter Biden, Russia collusion, Jack Smith, because he's a member of the House Judiciary Committee and does such great work. He's also a leading candidate to be the next governor of Arizona. He's our good friend, Congressman Andy Biggs. Congressman, good to have you on the show.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Amanda. Always good to be with you guys.
It is great to be with you. It's great to have the government back open. I'd like to just start off by asking your thoughts on whether the Democrats gained anything other than a black eye by shutting down the government for 43 days.
I don't think they did. The only people that were helping them out were the left-wing media, and they were kind of carrying the Democrats' water, because the Democrats should have been really, really mortified by how this turned out. First of all, the same stuff that they got after, month and a half, they could have gotten after 5 days. And so they didn't really gain anything. But the second thing is they voted no continuously, including to stop funding of SNAP. I mean, that's the thing. They kept saying, well, we got to have money for SNAP. Well, you voted no on it 15 times. And
Right.
Well, I can tell you 2 Republicans who didn't vote with us. I can also tell you 40 some odd Democrats in the Senate, and yesterday more than 200 Democrats who voted against opening up the government and paying for SNAP and other federal employees. Yeah, the Democrats own this. They should have they should have a bloody nose over this.
Well, and sir, Democrats love to talk about, schisms on the right, but you look at the left, the reaction to this, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's, her characterization of this as caving to Trump. Are you worried that that opens up the door for a Senate seat like Chuck Schumer's to be challenged by someone like AOC or AOC herself?
I anticipate that, actually. I think, the thing is, I always believed that Chuck Schumer was somehow keeping the 8 people at bay until a certain period of time, and now we're hearing reports that that's true, that he did it for political purposes. How about that? Such petty personal political purposes that you would actually shut down the government, deny people their paychecks, military, ICE, deny SNAP. Now, SNAP's another program we need to take a good close look at. But the bottom line is he did that for political purposes. That's what we're being told.
Yeah. There was a time when Eric Swalwell sat on a stage and accused Donald Trump of everything and anything. Obviously, all of those things disappeared over time. Now he's accused of manipulating his mortgage, much like Adam Schiff and Letitia James are accused. Your thoughts today on the referral of another member of Congress accused of potentially engaging in mortgage or bank fraud?
I don't want to gloat or crow, but, Eric Swalwell is his own worst enemy, I think. I just don't think he gets it. I will let the process play out in court, but Eric Swalwell is he could be a nicer person. Let's just put it that way.
Sir, I want to ask you about these Epstein files. Democrats on House Oversight released their selective portions of those documents, and then Republicans today said, "Here, take 20,000 or so. Do you think that this is going to have any impact on voters going into midterms, whatever's in it?
No, I don't. I mean, the Oversight Committee's already done more than even this bill that we're going to be voting on next week. And what I would just say is the Democrats want to cherry pick. For them, this is all about going after Donald Trump. If they wanted everything released, they could have done it when they had control of everything for 4 years. They chose not to. And so they're trying to cherry pick stuff where you actually had victims who testified to us and told us that they never saw any indication that Donald Trump did anything wrong at all. He was never a perpetrator, never trafficked, never committing these sex crimes against younger women. But for whatever reason, he gets mentioned in a couple of emails, and they're not going to tell you that the person who told that sent that email is the one of the ones that exonerated President Trump, said he never did anything wrong. I never saw him do anything wrong. That's where the Democrats are, and that's the crying shame of all this. This is taken on a turn that instead of taking care of the victims and seeking justice against those who were perpetrators and taking care of the victims, it's now about a political gotcha. Can we find Donald Trump? They can't find Donald Trump. If they could have found Donald Trump, believe me, they would have already released that years ago. There's nothing there regarding Donald Trump, but that's their goal. That's their goal, is to create this question mark, this kind of negative feeling about Donald Trump, because that's what this is all about, always.
Yeah, it's the get Trump syndrome that has dominated 10 years of the bureaucracy, the Democrats, and the media. It's such an amazing pattern. We talked about this pattern, and in the spring I reported that Kash Patel, the new FBI director, had written a memo saying that we should look at the last decade as an ongoing criminal conspiracy. People laughed at it for a while. Other people confirmed it. Then the Democrats and their friends and some of the targets of this investigation laughed it off. But today we got some direct connections. Today there are some new documents that were turned over by Congress to Congress from FBI Director Kash Patel and Attorney General Pam Bondi, and they show that people close to Jack Smith were trying to, as part of their investigation into January 6th, nix or stop the FBI and Justice Department from looking into Hillary Clinton's funding of the Steele dossier, meaning that Jack Smith had an interest in another very different Get Trump investigation that we now know is discredited. Your thoughts on whether these things are more interconnected and whether maybe there should be a conspiracy case brought against the perpetrators?
I think a lot of this is connected. I mean, because it's the same players behind this consistently. I mean, everybody from Brennan Clapper, Strzok, Page, McCabe, Comey, and then you get to Jack Smith and Merrick Garland. It seems to be that it's the same people working in the same apparatus with the same objective. I mean, I remember thinking at the time about Hillary Clinton. How come there had been no prosecutions or investigations? First of all, with the hard drive that James Comey said, well, we're not going to prosecute that, having usurped Loretta Lynch's authority. And then the second thing was all the stuff we were hearing about the wild amounts of money going to a foundation that hadn't been around long, but it was directly tied to the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton. So you began to wonder, shouldn't there be an investigation? Now we're hearing that they basically quelled the investigation. That's what the latest information seems to say. And these are the same folks that were trying to expand, going after Trump and Trump supporters to the tune of 160 at least. They were going after members of Congress. They're opening up that, but they are trying to protect Hillary Clinton. I just think this was probably as close to a soft coup that you could imagine happening in this country. And that's the issue that I think has got to be solved, and people need to be held accountable.
Sir, under Joe Biden, we saw what the southern border looked like when it was wide open, and we also saw what states that didn't have a will to fix it, looked like California, New Mexico, and Arizona under Democrat leadership. But we saw something different in Texas. We saw Governor Greg Abbott with Operation Lone Star completely, well, not completely, but go a long way in shoring up his own border. If you win governorship in Arizona, are we going to see the same type of rapid transformation of that border and shutting it down pretty quickly overnight?
Yeah, you will. I mean, never forget that this governor, she did two things. Like on her first day, she eliminated Arizona's border security task force. And she also started tearing down container barricades like Governor Abbott had done in Texas. We had some that a Republican governor, Governor Ducey, had put up, and she took those down. And so we're going to have to take care of that. But we have another issue that we're going to have to take care of. We have a massive human drug trafficking corridor. It's coming up through one particular area in the state. It's the busiest in the country. We're going to have to take care of that. Going to have to take care of that.
I have zero doubt that you're going to be on top of that. We learned so much about the border from your frequent trips going down there. You were more dedicated to getting the American people truth than anyone I can think of in Congress. Congressman Biggs, it's a great honor to have you on the show today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, we always appreciate you so much. All right, folks, quick commercial break. When we come back, more on what Republicans can do to cut spending after the shutdown is officially over. And we'll also discuss the moves the Trump administration is mulling to address affordability concerns for America's younger generations. Both of those ideas up next after this commercial break. Hey folks, you might be wondering, when's the right time to start adding collagen to my diet? How about today? Collagen production starts to dwindle in your 20s, and by the time you hit your 50s like me, it's decreased, and it contributes to wrinkles, sagging skin, and joint discomfort. Now, Native Path Collagen can help. It's packed with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers, the ones your body needs most for healthy joints, for healthy skin, bones, hair, nails, and also, believe it or not, your gut. Plus, it's third-party tested for purity and with no fillers, no additives, and no artificial junk. That's important to me. 2 scoops a day of Native Path delivers 18 grams of protein. Mix it into your coffee, your tea, your soup, or any drink. It's completely flavorless and easy to use. Right now, you can get a special bundle deal at the fraction of the retail price. Plus, you're going to get free shipping. Available at getnativepath.com/justnews. That's getnativepath.com/justnews. With over 4 million jars sold, thousands of 5-star reviews, and a 365-day money-back guarantee, this is your moment to take control of aging before symptoms get worse. So go to getnativepath.com/justnews right now. Supplies are limited and demand is surging. That's getnativepath.com/justnews.